My lovely, lovely, wonderful people, a pleasant afternoon to you. So, we've been seeing in the news, online and whatnot about a particular primary school that created segregation. It's almost like they have been fueling and perpetuating this classist society, unfortunately. Let me look at it from a balanced perspective. It is imperative to reward labor. I really admonish that. I really advocate for that. I subscribe to that wholeheartedly. To be honest with you, if I do very well, I would want to be rewarded, It feels good when you're rewarded for doing good work. And it has its place. But unfortunately, adult emotional intelligence was not employed in this regard. They did not embody what a scripture says. It says, do not let your good be evil spoken of. And it would be very fitting in this particular sense. Do not let your good be evil spoken of. And you have to be very careful in how you reward good in the presence of not good. So, for example, it was when I was reading a part of the article, is as though, some would wear some kind of I don't know if it's a hat or something on the head to show that you excelled. Then the ones who are a little below, like, so for example, if you got A's, you'd wear a particular hat on your head or something, over your head. Then if you got B pluses, you wear something a little less, and going down, you don't wear anything on your head. You have to be careful that you don't kill the spirit of those who may not have performed well for that particular season, because they could be going through myriads of things as to why they did not perform well. It's not necessarily a case that they pick them dunce. You know what I mean? I know we love to say, boy, them head tough, them dunce, them can't take book, them head can't hold nothing. Not necessarily so, because there's a lot of factors that can contribute to that. Sometimes it's hereditary, yes, unfortunately. Sometimes it's nutrition. Sometimes it's just not studying, because, they're being lazy or idling or whatever it is, or just distracted. It could be problems that they have at home, in the environment, the space in which they live. So many factors can contribute to students not doing well. Notwithstanding, you do have students who, against all odds, no matter what the odds are, they will perform well. Not all students are like that. Not all are like that. So we have to be very mindful of a message that we're promulgating, though you may mean well, because sometimes you're doing good, but you're creating a negative spin in the same breath, in a public sense, in a public manner, lack of a better word right now. If you were rewarding, if you had like an awards ceremony, like a little class ceremony and whatnot, and you say, all right, for those who get this, I'm going to encourage all students, you say that from the beginning of the semester, to do well, because you're going to have a little award ceremony. So those who get A's will get this, those who get B pluses will get this, C's, whatever. If you did not do well, we may give you a consolation prize, but we are not going to reward mediocrity so much. We're not going to do, but we're going to encourage you. So we're not going to give you a big reward. We're going to encourage you with a consolation prize to say that, all right, better luck next time. You're going to do well. Then that would be a place and a space for something like that, but not at a graduation. You have to be careful. The only difference is that where it may not be so bad is that at some graduations, especially in at the tertiary level, if you get first class honors, distinction, then they will mention that and whatever it is. But you don't really see like a different kind of hat on the head, or the gown, or the whatever it is, specifically for that. I think they highlight it and so forth, which is fine. And it is fair to the student, because, equally, the person who performs, I don't want to say poorly, but who did not do well, does not want to feel embarrassed and humiliated, but equally the person who performs well wants to be highlighted, wants their performance to be showcased. You understand? And put to the fore, and that is fair. So at a graduation now, you have to you have to navigate the waters. As I said, there is space and a place to reward good work and to encourage those who may not have done well to perform better next time. All right, but not at a graduation where everyone is there, the family members, friends, all enemies, all and sundry. You know, it can be quite embarrassing. And that is particularly why the parent would have felt the way that she did. Again, if it was an awards ceremony, and on a smaller sense, maybe a class, you know, based on the class that you're in and so on, then it would have been a little bit different, because you would have given them the heads up and you would have said, all right, you know, maybe from the beginning of the semester or the term, we're going to have an award ceremony. So I'm encouraging everybody to pull up their socks, to do well, buckle up. You know what I mean? Because you want to get your prize, and reward sweeten labor. So when they know of it, they're going to try and employ, you know, studying, you know, reading outside of class time, going home, doing their homework, whatnot. You know, so there is a place for that. Everybody doesn't need to necessarily beat the school. I think they probably, you know, in hindsight, when you sit and you relax and you wait, maybe they meant well, but it just didn't come off the way that was expected. You know, so we have to be very careful in not letting our good be evil spoken of, you know, especially in a public setting like that with everybody. You know, I think the school may have meant well. Now that I think about it, the administration, the teachers may have meant well, and they just wanted to reward good work. Fine, there is a place for that, but not the graduation. You know, because, you know, especially if people perform so poorly and their behavior is bad and they don't graduate, that alone is like a dagger to the heart. You know, and they know to put salt in the wound, you know. You say, okay, once I see them with this thing on their heads on, I know say this one, and once this one don't have it, you know, so them never perform. You don't want to highlight poor performance in the public sphere. You don't want to do that, you know. So you have to be careful moving forward, and this goes for any school, you know, whether primary, secondary, or tertiary. It has to be, you have to be very, very careful, you know. And at the primary school, you see, because they're young and impressionable and learning, you don't want to break the spirit of the child too quickly. Yes, they have to understand life. Life comes with challenges, toughness. They have to learn to, you know, not everything is not equality is necessary, but equality may not be necessary in all phases or spaces. But equity must be there, must always be around, because equity and equality, they're fundamentally different, you know. So you don't want to break the spirit of a youngster too quickly. Let them learn little by little as life goes on, you know. And yeah, you don't want them to feel too badly like that, because sometimes they don't come back from that, surprisingly, even when they become adults. If you listen to a number of adults and they wonder why they didn't continue their education, they'll tell you something that happened in prep or primary school, and they said, oh my God, even basic. Said, wow, that, you know, they just didn't let go. It is the onus is on the person still, you know, to hurdle that, but sometimes it affects them and it remains. So you want to be careful in how you allow challenges to come onto youngsters. Let it be slow. It's going to come. They won't be able to avoid that, but don't fuel it. Don't fuel it in that sense. So, you know, again, there is a space to reward good work. There is, and it must be rewarded, and to encourage good work if they have not done well. Not at a graduation. Yeah, that was not necessarily a wise decision, you know, unfortunately. And, you know, it has made the news. You know, it's unfortunate that this is how we have to be dealing with things, you know, to bring things to the public sometimes, but it is what it is. It is for others to know and to moving forward how to operate with a little bit more wisdom. All right, A word to the wise is sufficient unto the day. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lions. And you can follow me on Instagram.